Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hodemess Tom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be doing the trans inclusive beauty tag, which was started by Dani, also known as Scars to Stars Beauty here on YouTube. She also has an awesome Instagram profile, so I highly recommend both subscribing to her and following her on Instagram if you use that platform. But if you are new to my channel, hi, thank you for clicking on this video. My channel is really focused on loving my makeup collection as it currently is first and foremost. Well, whenever I get excited about makeup releases, I try to unpack whether or not those are actually good items for me. Is the marketing just getting me? That's kind of what I like to do here. It's not saying that I never purchase anything. I don't need all of the makeup in the world. So if that kind of content sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. And I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. There's absolutely no pressure though. I'm just so happy that you are here. Commenting and liking is the best way to support any YouTuber. And I would like to thank my beautiful, wonderful patrons before we get started. So thank you so much, patrons. It is a beauty tag, but it is also like a little bit more involved than a regular beauty tag. And I thought that this is kind of a relevant conversation in the current times we're in. I just realized I didn't put any lip product on, but that's okay. That's okay. I did want to do this video because of the state of the world that we are currently in and a lot of the legislations coming up in the country that I live in, United States, and how unsafe trans people are in the United States and the rest of the world. So I just thought this was like a really relevant topic to talk about. Before we get like too far into this, I'm like, if anyone's gonna come at me sideways in the comments, I'm not having fights. We're not gonna have fights in the comment section. However, I also understand that sometimes you might ask a question and it could be taken the wrong way. I'm not trying to blockade you from asking questions either. But also know that I might not respond to those questions because it's not all my responsibility to like help you learn about these things, but maybe this video and the way I talk about it and things I answer in this video will shed a little light on it for you as we progress through it. So the first question is, what is your name? What are your pronouns? And why do you feel like using pronouns are important? My name is Tom. That has always been my name, so I didn't change my name or anything like that. Although recently someone said, you don't seem like a Tom. And then I thought about that for a second and I was like, what would my name be if it weren't Tom? And then I thought maybe I would change my name, but I don't think I will. That's not to say I don't like the name Tom. It's just like, do you ever just like, someone says something that you've never considered and you're like, would I do that? And I was like, well, maybe. That was kind of like the way I felt about it. My pronouns are they, them. Now, something I would like to say here is that's non-negotiable. And in my comment section, I still get misgendered by people who are subscribed to me, and I don't quite understand that. And here is my thing, and I'm gonna get just a little bit spicy for a second. By you assuming he, him pronouns for me, you have assumed what I was assigned at birth. Do you understand what I'm saying? What if I wasn't, and you were just deciding that? Because there are a lot of ways that I could look the way I look without having been assigned male at birth, and you didn't know me before I was out here on this platform as a non-binary person. So why did you choose what my pronouns were? So that's my question for you, if you've misgendered me in my comment section or in another space, because I've also seen myself get misgendered in comments on Instagram or on other YouTubers' comment section. And to be very clear, I know that in almost all of those cases, people weren't doing it out of malice. My genuine curiosity kind of question for you is, you assumed what my gender was, but you could have been wrong about what my sex was. So my pronouns are they, them, and I will start gently correcting you in the comment section when it happens. And it's not to be annoying, but I think the next part of the question is like, why do I feel pronouns are important? And here's why I'm telling you this, because I used to not think pronouns were important. I used to say that. I used to believe that. When I came out as non-binary on this channel, which is a video that I know not many of you have watched because it's an old video. The production value isn't as good on that video. And it's okay. It's okay that people don't watch that. And it's not a beauty content video. So I understand that not all of you have seen it. But in that very video, I say I don't care about pronouns and I'm okay with using he, him pronouns in that video. And I have since moved away from that. And I did say it in one video, and I don't expect all people to watch all of my videos, but in any current video, with the exception of this one, at the very beginning of all of my videos, there's a card that swipes in and says they, them. And that isn't for me. I know that. Many of you know that. But if people are new to my channel, or if you're unsure, it's there for you. It's also in my bio on Instagram. So, it's in a lot of places. It's always there. I put that there for you and whoever else might stumble upon my channel. Let me tell you how I started using they, them pronouns and why I even tried. So for a long time, even after I acknowledged being non-binary, whenever I was like, oh yes, that is in fact me. I align with that. That feels like who I am. I was like, I think pronouns are stupid. And I also struggled with people's pronouns before all of this too. And again, slip-ups happen. It happens sometimes. But I also felt the very same way. I did. For one point, I was just like, I mean, it's just pronouns, right? It's just like pronouns. Like, what does that mean? I came out as non-binary, didn't ask anyone to change pronouns for me. And then I was on this journey to make new friends, and that was something that I wanted to do. I met a new friend. Whenever we met up, we started talking. We are both queer people, and he asked me what my pronouns were. And I thought, well, if there was any time to try they, them pronouns, this felt like a good way to introduce it and see how I feel about it in a way that feels safe for me. Because it's one person and, I'm going to see how it feels whenever not only I talk about things with them, but whenever they talk about me with other people and seeing those interactions happening and then meeting people through them and having more and more people use those pronouns for me. At first, it was weird. Right? At first I was like, I don't know, maybe. But as time progressed, it just felt more and more correct. It felt more and more aligned with what it was. And then it was just very apparent to me that that was what I was most comfortable with. And it's what felt most aligned with me and who I am. And after a certain time, just having that friend group, those people that I met through that friend and that friend using they, them pronouns for me, I was like, that's the ticket. No more he, him. I don't think that's for me anymore. So then I the thing is, it's like whenever you're changing your pronouns or whenever you are doing something where you're transitioning in any kind of way, right? So whether you are doing kind of a binary transition or you're in this gender fluidity, non-binary space, you have to kind of come out all of the time, depending on the things that happen in your life. I had to not only come out as gay, but I also had to come out as non-binary, but also I had to come out as gay all of the time. And you might laugh at that and say I'm very visibly queer. That is true, but you still can't assume things about people. So I have to come out as gay all the time. And that doesn't mean that I have big moments with people like maybe I did the first time I came out, whenever I came out to my mom or whatever. Those small coming out interactions happen in very different ways where I could be, talking to someone at work and say my boyfriend. And in that moment, I get to watch how someone reacts to that in real time with their facial expressions to see how they respond to that. So then I came out as non-binary and then I was like, well, now I'm coming out again with these pronouns. It's, changing them. And a hard thing to get people to do in the first place. I will tell you that for me, it has been really worth it for me to get everyone on board with they, them pronouns. It feels really good. And when people misgender me now, it doesn't feel good. And I know that if you are not if you've never had this happen to you, it's a really hard concept to grasp, right? But there's a specific euphoria that comes when people use the right pronouns for you, because it means that they get it and they understand you on a level and they're treating you humanely. When people use he, him pronouns for me, it's not devastating to me. And there are people where it's a very devastating thing when that happens to them, when they get misgendered. So there are levels to all of this. However, we as people, it's not, you just need to make a very concerted effort to use the right thing, use the right pronouns for people. It's interesting, you see conversations happening on the line with cis people being mad that we will call them a cis male or a cis female. That's the thing. It's they're getting so worked up about words and it's yeah, me too. And it's you can easily respect that. And then we wouldn't be having all of these conversations and feeling we need to hammer it down in such a real way. So yeah, pronouns are very important. It's just respect. That's all. I'm saying I'm in this world. I'm part of this world. And I will honestly admit, I don't have the best grasp on neopronouns. So Z0, and I don't even know if that's actually the right way. But there are other pronouns that I don't fully understand. But if someone were to come up to me and say that that's the pronouns that they would like to use, I would get on board and do my best. Let's talk just real quickly before we move on. When we talk about when you accidentally misgender someone, when you're not doing it out of malice, it's something comes out of your mouth. And it happens. All you need to do is a quick, I'm so sorry, and then use the right pronoun, and then just continue on with whatever you were discussing. No one, no matter how well-intentioned, wants you to make a big deal about it whenever you've accidentally made a misstep. Because it's embarrassing not only for you, but also for the person that you've misgendered. And then it also feels like me, if I was on the other end of that, it's like, it's a really hard thing for you to understand, and it's a really big deal, and you're making a real big show of using the right pronouns for me, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Because I also use the wrong pronouns with people, and I'm saying like people who have been cis their whole life, and I have only known them with those pronouns. Like, I do that. It happens on accident. People slip up. Language is hard sometimes. And, so grace needs to come from all sides, but never make a big deal about it. I'm done with my pronouns rant. Where do you see trans inclusivity currently, and where do you see it going in the coming years? I always feel like this is kind of like broader scale, bigger brain, that everything is better and worse than it once was. We fight for rights all the time, and then sometimes we get rights, right? And then other people are mad that we have rights, because how dare we all be on an even playing field? How dare it? And that's the thing that gets misconstrued, is that all of us just want equality. But the people who have it better are mad whenever people are getting those steps to become more equal to them, because they lose their power in that situation. And what we are not trying to do is gain power over those other people. We want to meet them where they're at. It's like kind of the conversation with feminism is like women want to have equality with men. It's not that they want to become the overbearing thing, but people who aren't feminists are mad because they think that women want to take over the world and run everything. But that's the point. And that's why the conversation kind of in the LGBTQIA space for a very long time is like equality. And now we have issues even in the LGBTQIA community with equality and finding equality even in our like subcategories. That's a more systemic problem that we're not going to talk about here. If I'm thinking about trans inclusivity, I think visibly in the media, well, we're very visible right now. So there's a lot of visibility. I guess visibility we should take into consideration isn't always positive, but I want to talk about it from like a media standpoint when I'm talking about like watching TV, like watching TV for fun, entertainment. I definitely think now, obviously more than ever, we have more and more trans actors working in the industry, and we're seeing more visibility that way, and that is really great. And I feel like that has like rapidly grown over the course of the last decade. Like, I remember when Laverne Cox was on Orange is the New Black, and like that felt like the only thing that was happening. And it's like, we have come such a far way, especially I feel like as millennials are like aging up, and like how like in marketing, the target market that everyone wants to like grab a hold on and make content for, so that advertisers pay for more money for those advertising blocks. Millennials, we're moving away. We're coming up on, like, a lot of us are like in our 30s now. We're gonna be 35 soon, so we're not really gonna be in like that target demo anymore. So media content that's like being freshly generated now is trying to gain that 18 market. And like, of course, you want to grab the market when they're younger so they can grow with your thing. That's how I think. That's like my thing. So in the way I see it, even on social media, I feel like I see more queer things. Now, something to take into consideration is that algorithms are designed to support our interests in some ways, but not support our best interests in all ways. So like when I'm on TikTok, I see a lot of trans people, not only because I am trans, but I interact with a lot of trans content. It also happens on YouTube as well. I interact with a lot of trans creators on YouTube. So a lot of trans creators also get recommended to me in the algorithm. We'll come to like the conversation about like beauty. I don't follow a lot of trans beauty creators, but that's not because I wouldn't like to watch that. Most of my consumption of content on YouTube is commentary. So I follow a lot of like trans commentary channels, and I have found that to be like very helpful and worth my time. But in the beauty space, it's just like I don't follow as many, and that's not, that's not, I'm not trying to not follow queer or trans beauty creators on YouTube. It's just kind of like whenever I look at my subscription feed, that just seems to be how things shake out. The visibility is high. But as back to my original like target demo situation, it feels to me that the younger generation is much more open about being queer, gay, being lesbian, being like, they're just much more open to the idea of it. And while even people who maybe don't consider themselves to be non-binary, like there's just like a lot more open-mindedness to it in that generation. So because they're so willing, they like, those are the conversations happening in like the younger generation, the generation that advertises. We get shows like Euphoria who have trans actors in it, and like and other shows where there are just like more trans people, because I think the new Pretty Little Liars has trans actors in it. The Gossip Girl reboot had trans actors in it. So it's like you're seeing a lot more of that in media in general. I don't think it's the media that is being made for me. Like, and the people, like, I'm not the target demographic of the media that's in. That's not saying I don't watch it, but like whenever they were designing those shows, it wasn't like my demographics would have ended up on the board of people. They were like, we're trying to hit this demographic. I bet I don't fall into a lot of those things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think we see a lot more trans people than we once did. And also a lot more just like, and I'm saying this because it's like I feel like non-binary is the thing that a lot of people are held up on. It's like, it feels like the new, to people who are not initiated in it, it feels like this new buzzword that feels made up. So it's like, and I'm not saying that this is a fixed problem, but like while people can understand like a binary trans person, they can't understand a non-binary trans person. So like that's like, so now we're like, I live in the mystical field of like confused. I just think we're seeing a lot more trans people in the media now, which is great. And I love that. So I think we are more visible, but with that visibility comes like the other side of things where people are trying to take rights that we barely have as it is away from us, which is a bummer. What trans content creators would you like to spotlight, and what have you learned from watching their content? As I said, I watch a lot of trans commentary. So, you know, there are varying levels of how serious it is, and not all of them are always talking about trans issues either. Some of them do, and that's like their primary focus, but not all of them are. So I like watching Kat Black. I watch Khadijah. I watch ContraPoints. I watch Philosophy Tube, Samantha Lux, Sam Collins, Luxaria, Jessie Gender. Oh my God, there are so many good ones. Oh, there's a person I just started watching, and she talks about bisexuality and like media and bisexuality, and it's really, really good. And I love watching that because I grew up in a generation of people who like don't think bisexuality is a real thing, and there's still a lot for me to unpack there. Obviously, I do think that bisexuality is real and it's like valid and that people feel those, but it's just like I grew up in a generation, and so there's always work to be done. And I love watching it because we're talking about it in media, and she like explains, like it says, I will make sure that I'm linking all of these channels down below. But as far as beauty content creators go, obviously Dani, she made this. She made this Strikadelic. He does really, really great beauty content. I feel like I haven't seen him post in a while. He's on Instagram too, so you should follow him there. Cam from Clove Room, they do really great content. Their channel is like just kind of in the beginning stages, but they do really great content. They have a really great personality for YouTube. Like, whenever you're just starting out and like and I'm not again, every time I make these kind of comments, it's never to say that I'm perfect, but like they got the personality, and that sometimes is like the hardest part to like translate on camera, and they got that. They are so fun to watch, and I think they're so incredibly funny. Queer Bones. I love Queer Bones. They're really, 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 really great. I love watching their content. They do like colorful makeup looks. They're much more into eyeshadow than I am, and so when I want to know about a new colorful indie eyeshadow palette, I'm like, well, I know Colin is going to do that and probably talk about it, so I'll just let them do it. I follow so many trans creators on Instagram that do beauty. I could not possibly list, but there's so many. And almost I feel like I see it more visible on Instagram than I do on YouTube. But again, I have somehow found myself, so many trans commentary channels come at me left and right. Shanspeare. Oh, I love their content too. Number 5, what brands do you see putting trans inclusivity into practice, and can you provide examples? Also can be non-beauty related brands. So I think I thought about this question a lot before I decided to record. And I think an interesting thing about me, and it's not an interesting thing, it's like, I guess it's a thing to be noted as I navigate this answer, is I just don't follow brands. So like, I'm not interested in like the marketing of brands. So I don't think about it. Like, I've never really thought about this. And obviously there's awareness that I need to have when navigating this space, because a brand like ColourPop can do a collaboration with Harry Potter. And for those of you who are not initiated, J.K. Rowling doesn't like trans people very much, and she makes that well known, and she's a woman with a lot of power. And so it was really not cool of ColourPop to do that. And I already really didn't support ColourPop for a variety of other reasons. But if there was ever like a nail in a coffin reason, it's like, they're not, ColourPop not doing a great job. What's interesting is, and this is, again, I feel like I'm not the most qualified to answer this, because I guess I'm not like looking for it consciously. That's on me, and that's probably not a great habit of mine, and I will openly admit that. But I do feel as though whenever I see a lot of like luxury beauty brands like YSL use a lot of trans models, and I do also like Lady Gaga. House Labs is really, really good about it. Like, that's something I know. Whenever you click on the images, it's like you're getting so much variety just by looking. Danessa Myricks, I feel, is really, really good at this. I feel like there's a lot of indie brands who are really, really inclusive as well. While I know that this is like not a great take, and I'm going to admit that openly on here, is like, I really want makeup just to be about makeup and like the performance of a product. And I know that money talks, money speaks. And so I should be more aware of those things when I'm making purchases. I do change my purchasing habits when I see conversations happening online. I have a promo code with Parade, and this is not to promote the brand, but I will tell you why I decided to. They offered me a promo code. They like reached out to me, and I'll tell you why I took it. So Parade is like an underwear company. Now, I think some of their marketing practices are really, really annoying, and I say that having a code. They text me like once a day. I hate that. I hate that. And they run sales all the time, and they always want to push my code because it's a higher percentage off. And I'm just not doing that. You know me, and you know that I would never do that. So some of their marketing practices I don't love. Doesn't work for me. What Parade I think does a really good job of is they need to be more size inclusive, and I'm going to say that up right. They only go up to a 3X. I would like to see them go up to like a 5 or 6X. That's not the kind of inclusivity that we're talking about in this particular video. But what I liked about it, whenever I went to scope them out and find information about them before I decided to take on the promo code, one, I made a purchase to see if I liked the quality of the items before I like took that on. That was step one. Step two was looking through their branding, and they seem to have bodies of all sizes, people of all kinds wearing their garments in all of their marketing imagery. And these are the kind of things that this kind of question is looking for. Like, whenever you're looking at a brand, are you taking all of that into consideration? So it's just like, it's not something that I guess I'm always conscious of or always looking for. Now that I have acknowledged it, I would like to like consciously work on just knowing more, knowing more. And then number 6 is just make sure that I tag everything right. Okay. Great conversation, friends. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to Dani for creating such a beautiful tag and creating thought-provoking questions for trans people on the internet to answer and maybe provide more context for people who might not be so understanding. But as I said at the beginning, any kind of vitriol and hate that pops up in my comment section is getting deleted immediately, and I'm just not going to stand for it. So know that. Hopefully we can have some nice discourse in the comment section. And, I'm not the spokesperson for trans people. And that should also be taken into consideration. Other people might answer these questions differently and have very different feelings about them. And that is also valid. So just know that too, as you hear my responses and hear other people respond to similar questions. It's like, it's not there, no one is speaking for all trans people about all of these, nuances and questions, and that's like a thing to keep in mind. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed and you would like to subscribe, baby, remember to like this video before you leave it. Again, I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. But again, no pressure though. Okay, I appreciate you all so much for watching. I will see you again real soon. Critical Sass Live is on Wednesday. That week that I didn't post really took it out of me. I'm so discombobulated. I will see you on Wednesday for Critical Sass Live. And then I think I don't know what's coming out on Friday. I have 2 video options that might come out on Friday, but one is requiring some research and I'm like not quite done with that. So it's probably not gonna be that one, but there will be video for you on Friday. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm excited to really get back on my regular schedule. Okay. Remember to follow your heart and you will find me. I appreciate you all so much. Bye-bye. Forever.